This is still in cut to length, 1/2 inch off the measuring end, 1 inch. This number here represents 36 meters per minute. There's my trim cut. So as this runs, so yeah, so right now that's 36. Now I just took that up to 50, which is, so I'm sure that's, automatic, I mean, you got to have, for that automatic, you got to have a lot of stuff programmed in right. Like, because that automatic, if that's all we ever cutted was the same material, you could get in and say, okay, what it does is it says the thicker it is, it's going to slow down, because it's going to say this material here, we can cut it so many feet per minute based on a square thing like that. And considering we might be doing flake board and then MDF and then solid surface, you're not going to cut solid surface at the same feed rate as you would flake board.
Is there a list somewhere or this is what it should be?
Yeah, I mean typically on average we're in a range between like low 30s. I mean, very rarely do we go as high as 50 unless we're doing like something thin like this. There's 10 inch, 1 inch part. This just rheostat. I mean, 62 is as high as it'll go. So actually, like 50 is moving right along, but typically. But yeah, but here, like right now, if I wanted to do a couple of them 1.5 inches, get this bar. Then the residual value, that always tells you, especially if we're cutting something off, if somebody's kind of, the assembler guys are kind of cut parts off the material, you know, rather than having to abort it and measure that piece that's in there and saying, well, geez, I need a piece 7 inches wide, do I have enough? They can say, oh yeah, there's still basically 8 5/8 still in there. So right now I could cut a piece 8 inches wide. Of course, I know I can only get one of them. And anytime the machine, anytime it gets too close, because to cut a piece, if there's only 8 5/8 in there roughly, and I'm asking a piece 8 inches, it's going to be bringing the clamps in close enough where the saw is. So rather than just, like right now, the whole time the clamps have been held on there, so now since it's coming in within the working space of the saw, it'll bring it forward. The saw will come down on top of it holding it, and the clamps will retract and pull out. And so now it'll come, this will come down, and now the clamps are pulling, now the clamps are backed right out of there. So now when this opens up, the clamps are already, like you'll see, the clamps are well out of the way, it's already let it go. And then now there should be that little trim on the back side. So yeah, typically the clamps don't.
Yeah, it's never funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Now on the fixed position. Now on the fixed position. Don't like when you go out of value. Seven inches. Well, if I hit that, typically on fixed position, we leave the clamps open and you shove your piece of the clamps. That's the way we do laminate. Now you can also, this button here, typically we don't do it, and I don't necessarily recommend it, but if somebody needed to do it, they could. By turning that on, normally we have that off, so just for purposes, normally that's off. What this will do is I am in a fixed position, but now if I engage this, it's actually grabbing it with the clamps and pulling it back. And now I'll let it make its cut. But normally but that's what, in case somebody accidentally hit that on, yeah, so like right now, as you can see, those clamps are closed. I can override them, and now they just open. So I can actually sit there and I can actually, that'll actually toggle them clamps back on and off. The reason we don't like you turning that on, because typically the fixed fences we primarily use for laminate, and some of them clamps they will, since they got two fingers and a top pressure, they will fracture the laminate. That's probably about it now.